Japan is renowned as one of the most peaceful nations on the planet. However, this was not always the case. The country has taken a vow of non-violence for about 78 years and has since stayed committed to its mission to promote peace. The wounds of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain, but while the country has resistance to war and all, they are joining other nations to protect themselves. The Asian continent is a pretty tense region, with Japan hoarded on the side by a constantly threatening nation like South Korea. It became apparent that there was a need to find a way to protect their citizens if push came to shove. They took the oath of passivity nearly 80 years ago, and now, their latest move in the defense industry makes us wonder if there is something to worry about in the next few years. The defense of Japan has been restricted to products of their partnership with other strong nations, such as the US, who provide all sorts of armaments to help them preserve their borders. However, the country's efforts to strengthen its defense against possible threats have led them to create one of the most powerful fighter jets the world has ever seen. Japan's new Godzilla FX stealth fighter is the new beast everyone cannot stop discussing. What exactly is the Godzilla FX? And what makes it so powerful? Before we proceed, please hit the subscribe button to become a part of our community and watch more interesting videos like this one. Japan is now forced to revise its anti-war policies, considering the regional tensions that appear to be worsening daily. Constitutionally, they have been unable to muster as much as a barrel of a gun for their military. If not for the support of Western powers, the country would have been invaded by their more hostile neighbors. Despite the latest developments, they no longer have the right to wage war or develop their military forces for offensive purposes. Hence, we are looking at a country whose military acts are targeted at self-defense alone. Before the contract that birthed the FX, all of the armed forces in Japan were the USA's, and they acted as the nation's shield against intending foes. At the same time, Japan grew from the chaos of World War II to become one of the biggest economies in the world. The nation's pacifist stand has done little to dissuade China from attempting confrontation on its borders through cyber-related attacks, naval and air activities, and missile testing near its borders. In response to these provocations, Japan began to adapt and retrofit their old aircraft into modern fighters for defense purposes only. Before landing the FX, they picked interest in the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptors, thought capable of fighting any advanced fighter jet China could send their way. However, these were flagship US fighter jets, and the superpower nation was uncomfortable with its war technology outside its borders. It didn't matter that they had a pact of protection with Japan. The idea did not fly as they seemed to be protecting their interests. Japan had no choice but to turn to alternatives that allowed them to build their own sixth-generation warplane. So the move to create the Godzilla FX started in 2008, when the Japanese Ministry of Defense financed research and development into the manufacture of combat aircraft technology, and the idea they generated was to produce the I-3 fighter. What are the features of this next-gen fighter combat aircraft? It is equipped with an advanced radar system that uses real-time data to detect enemy air and ground artillery threats. It also has futuristic flyby optics, stealth technology, and the most powerful aircraft engine. The stealth technology is the highlight of the fighter jet. It can fly at any altitude without making any significant noise and can be used for reconnaissance. They began experimenting with the internal technology for the I-3 through groundbreaking tests on a fifth-generation model fighter jet that shares a significant similarity with the Lockheed F-22. The Japanese Air Self-Defense Force awarded the contract to build the FX to Mitsubishi Heavy Industries in October 2020, and 2 years later, they entered a business deal with the United Kingdom and Italy to produce a common fighter jet. The exciting thing about this project is that it merged the development of the UK and Italy's fighter jet project, the BAE Systems Tempest, with Japan's FX. Don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. It will be much appreciated. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries will be the prime contractor in Japan, while IHI Corporation will handle the engines and Mitsubishi Electric will handle the electronics. BAE Systems will handle the aircraft in the UK, Rolls-Royce will handle the engines, and Leonardo UK will handle the electronics. Leonardo SPA and Avio Aero from Italy will be involved in the development, while MBDA will also be involved in the missile development. Mitsubishi's work on the FX has been groundbreaking since October 2009. The aircraft is being integrated with a powerful advanced integrated sensor system that can detect stealth aircraft, a technology that cost the Japanese Air Force 500 million yen. The sensor types include an active electronically scanned array, AESA, radar, a passive radio frequency, RF, sensor, and an infrared camera. Gallium nitride is used to increase the performance of both the AESA radar and the RF sensor. The AESA radar is comparable to the APG-81 radar used in the F-35 and is based on the APG-2 radar used on the F-2 fighter. The first prototype was designed in 4 years between 2010 to 2014 and tested between 2024 to 2016. A sum of 1.3 billion yen was exhausted over research on aerodynamic technology that would allow them to build internal weapons on the aircraft. This prototype was launched in 2013 and tested in 2014. It worked to help the engineers repeatedly simulate the separation of internal weapons from the traditional weapons bay system, and to see how it would work with aerodynamics while the jet flew at supersonic speed. It tests the durability of the weapon's cache and the accuracy achieved in flight. The developers also worked hard to build the aircraft's engine from the ground up, working with an investment of 100 million yen as they developed the main components of the next-gen engine to power the stealth aircraft. The purpose of this technology is to be able to achieve a high thrust-to-weight ratio using a high-temperature combustor and powerful high-pressure turbines with lightweight compressors. The system also has a functional integrated fire control technology for fighters. They spent 9.1 billion yen to design a network-centered battle space that links all their assets together, which could be handy in battles where their stealth fighter are outnumbered by enemy aircraft. Another 172 billion yen was invested in designing durable yet lightweight engine elements to give the high-power engine a slim appearance while generating high thrust. The Godzilla FX stealth fighter will be powered with a 3.8 billion yen dynamic weapons release system that reduces radar signature when using its weapons and the drag. This is the whole scope of the internal weapons design. The agency also experimented with developing RF self-defense simulations to develop electronic warfare equipment to counter aircraft missiles. It also includes a novel high-power microwave technology that nullifies enemy incoming missiles. There is much focus on the ability of the aircraft to fly as light as possible. This will aid its overall performance on stealth operations, and the engineers have developed high-precision stress analysis technologies to lower the weight of a future fighter airframe and to assess the strength risk associated with weight reduction. Using the novel design methods can lower the structural mass of the FX's airframe by 11.6% and working man-hours by 66% for a piece of the middle fuselage compared to conventional procedures. The engine will rely on electric actuators instead of the conventional hydraulic system, providing a more efficient valve system. They went for the actuators because it was a better fit for the complex internal design of the aircraft. The weapon bay is internal, and as such, the system of ventilation via the air ducts must be well accounted for. Conventional hydraulic systems tend to be rigid and long, and as such, do little to help get the stealth aircraft into the shape it needs to be. Actuators eliminate this challenge and do not take up much space as they are only connected through electric wiring. They are easier to install and leave room for flexibility in the bodily design of the aircraft. Most hydraulic systems also add considerable weight to the body of an aircraft and limit its mobility. As a result, the advantages of having an actuator are that it helps reduce the aircraft's weight and improves mobility. It is also interesting to see an aircraft bring the best out of radome, essential for protecting its radar and ensuring that the stealth aircraft can easily maximize its aerodynamics for optimal stealth and radar performance. Pilots can also enjoy the futuristic HMDUI system that allows them to see a binocular multicolor display and a wide field of vision while flying. In terms of maneuverability, they developed a thrust-deflecting nozzle capable of reducing steering area and allowing the aircraft to maintain a strict course while remaining undetected by enemy radar systems. All of these features combine to make up the twin-engine stealth body of the FEX and hold the promise of making it the most superior fighter jet, at least for the time being. Compared to the Lockheed F-22, the FEX is much bigger in frame, and that is why they named it Godzilla. But it will most likely be as lightweight as its predecessor. It makes sense for a stealth fight to possess everything necessary to remain not so easily detectable by radar. The prominently large size also means it can go a longer range with a larger payload capacity than the F-22. It also carried more missiles than the old F-35 fighter. All conceptual designs of the aircraft have passed through a 3D digital mock-up system and are constantly simulated to gain data on its avionics, engine performance, and stealth characteristics. Japan's trained pilots are constantly testing its features in simulations and air-to-air combat simulations to gauge the potential room for improvements that may be necessary to make the FX work by 2030. Will the FX stealth fighter be quite the revolutionary aircraft the Japanese Air Force wants it to be? Will it ever match the prowess of any of the stealth fighters that the US have in their fleet? Let me know what you think in the comments. See you in the next video.